Hey there! Hello! Hi! How many forms of greeting can I pull off? Howdy! Hey! Hey! That doesn't count. Hiya! That's enough, kiddies. That was the letter H. Those were greetings with the letter H, starting with the letter H. So I guess just like Sesame Street, we are sponsored by a letter today. And you know what that means, right? Absolutely zero money. At least for now. Unless H's aren't going to turn out rich. Unlike R's. R's are pretty rich. They're pretty well off. Go talk to R's. People whose names start with the letter R. Don't go bother the H's, such as Huel or Hernando. Is that a name? I don't know. I bother the H's, so don't do as me. Look, life is full of small mistakes, so you live and you learn, you know. So, welcome to Made of Things. This is episode 9. I'm your host, Antonio Maria Correia. I should say my name properly. Antonio Maria Correia. There you go. And on this week's show, we start what I'm going to call, for lack of a better term, the Primavera Saga. Am I allowed to do that? Of course I am. It is my podcast. But then again, it also belongs to you. It's yours. Take it and don't give it back, that's rude. And this is festival season, so it's a time of giving, and consequently a time of taking too, as long as you don't give back what you took. Well, not exactly what you took. Give back in other ways. You know, maybe in the form of iTunes comments, as far as, Made of Things is concerned. On this episode, I get to talk to Chris Simpson for the band Mineral. Now, if you're not aware of Mineral, they were one of the most influential emo bands back in the mid to late 90s, especially with the album The Power of Failing. It is okay if you don't know who they are, but you will have no excuse after this episode, at least as far as I'm concerned. You know, I'm doing my job here of bringing you things that are good. I myself only in recent years have gotten into the band, but I remember some friends telling me about Mineral, and also my sister got into them back in the early 2000s. So sometimes it's okay not to know something, and you can't know everything, So, you'll get around to it eventually. But Mineral were never really super popular, unlike other emo bands, but have built what is called a cult following throughout the years. And this is the reason they played Primavera in Barcelona this year to possibly the largest amount of people they ever played to. It's a curious phenomenon that happens at Primavera. I mean, the reunion of bands you never got around to see live back in the day. And honestly, it is a thing of beauty, and from my perspective, bands reuniting is one of the many reasons which make Primavera such a great event. And it is such a curious place for an artist to be, I find it rather wonderful, so the conversation is a lot about that, you'll find. But if you're a fan, both recent or a longtime fan, this probably will feel special to you, and that's why I'm doing this, guys. Also, this episode feels to me like it has some interest to musicians who never really gotten huge and want to know how it feels like to be doing something all your life, and suddenly you have this popularity bump, and you're being recognized for something you did a long time ago. So this goes out to you guys as well. Okay, so I met up with Chris in a hotel on the day after they played the show. This is a pretty long and relaxed conversation as we were just chilling and having some coffee while bands like Viet Cong and the girls from X-Hex, not DXX, I mean X-Hex with an H. Again, the H's, there you go. Safe bet, I tell ya. And, Mary Timony's new band. So those bands came in and out of the hotel while Chris and I were talking. Also, this will feel kind of relaxed because both Chris and I were running on something like 4 hours of sleep, maybe. That might come across. But hey, it's good to have a change of pace sometimes. But I think you can definitely tell we were rather tired. So here is my pretty lengthy chat with the lovely Chris from Mineral. And we start off talking about sunglasses, by the way. It's very rare when I get some really good sunglasses that fit me just right. Do you guys get that as well? I'd actually like to know. So let me know. It's this thing I have. So here is a sunglasses thing and the conversation with Chris Simpson from Mineral. We're just going, by the way. This is valid. We can talk sunglasses as well. So
sure. Yeah, I was hoping we could. Yeah.
But so $5 sunglasses then.
That's my theory.
These are like, I don't know. I don't remember exactly the price, but these, what happened was I had some Wayfarers, and they were my dad's from like the late 70s, I guess. So they were like original. What do you call it? The material, this part. So, and they broke because they were too old. Like they just kind of snapped on their own, and I was like heartbroken because they were just perfect for me, and I could never find any sunglasses ever. Just that suit me. I don't have a sunglasses face too much, I guess. I don't know. How was it for you last night? Like the show to me was absolutely perfect.
It felt really nice. It felt really fun. We had a great time. It was such a great crowd. I think we tried too not to have too many expectations or any expectations. Like when you get invited to come play Primavera, it's like very exciting. But even with that said, when we were like coming out, it's like you don't really know what to expect. Like don't know if people will like it or if there will be a crowd there, like a big or small crowd. You don't really know. Like at festivals, like when you play clubs, how many tickets you sold. People came to see you. You know a bit more what to expect. But festivals are always. I love the idea of getting to play for more people, but also people who might just be checking it out because they're there.
Primavera has, it seems like such a meaningful festival, right? Like, does this feel like kind of like a landmark for you guys?
For sure, yeah. Absolutely. Like, it feels like it's the kind of all these shows on these tours we've been doing, this reunion tour, are like the biggest shows we've ever played. But
that must feel insane, right? Because, I don't know, all of a sudden after all this time, you're on top form and playing possibly for, I don't know, the biggest crowds ever, I guess?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest crowd we played to, I feel like, last night. That was awesome. Yeah, we even, like I said, all these shows on this tour have been kind of the biggest shows we've ever done, but that, I think, was sort of the cherry on top last night. That was really great. It's just, I was sort of thinking about it a little bit. A buddy of ours who lives in Portugal right now, but used to live in the States, and used to ride around with all the bands that we toured with. We met him with Christie Front Drive, and he used to go out with Boys Live and went with us for a few days here and there. Who else? Jimmy Eat World. He was their guy for a while in the early days.
And actually lives in Portugal then.
He lives in Portugal now, and he's a photographer. He actually took the picture on the cover of a lot of bands' records back then, the couch from the cover of The Power of Failing. Which he's upset, of course, as a photographer, that we toned it blue and stretched it. His photograph of the couch, but.
Okay. So that was not his idea.
It's just a picture that he had, and we we just kind of did whatever we wanted with it. Now I would probably like feel weird about that, you know. But anyway,
So he was pissed.
yeah, I don't know if he was pissed, but
Okay.
but like, you know, any photographer is just like, you know, if you manipulate their work. I totally get it now. Anyways,
Sure.
long story short, he was at the show last night, and we talked to him beforehand, and then we got up there, and I was like, this is so bizarre, like this guy that used to ride around in vans with us and bands like us in the States, you know, playing little DIY coffee shop shows or whatever, we're now hanging out at, you know, Primavera playing.
Seems. Do you have Primavera seems like a place. I can't honestly. I've been here for. This is my sixth year, and I can't. I've never been to a happier gathering of people. You know, because people are just into the same things. Like, did you get any chance to watch anything last night that you might have enjoyed?
Not really.
Because you guys kind of arrived very, very late, like on top of the show, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, we got there like when the band before us, right when they were starting, I think, and then a couple of our guys went to see the first 4 or 5 songs of the Replacements before scooting back to our stage, but we didn't really get to check out much last night, but now we're on vacation. We're here till Monday, you know. So people are free to go see things, you know. It does feel like a very happy crowd and gathering, you know, like you said, like everyone in Spain in general, people just seem pretty happy, which I like. I like that.
Hopefully next time you get to play Porto, because I've never been to Porto. At least at the time of this interview, I haven't gone yet. I'm going to go next week. But people are saying excellent things about like Primavera. They're kind of carrying the same, even though the organization is different. They're kind of carrying the same vibe, and it's a whole lot smaller the actual event, because it's like not even half the bands, I think.
Yeah.
Not even half. So like they have you have like I don't know 9 stages at Primavera, and and over there it's 3.
Okay.
3 stages, so it's much smaller. But they're keeping the same vibe, so it'd be funny to see. Not funny, it's not funny, but it'd be nice to have you guys over there. And I know a lot of people who are into you, like because part of my friends or a big chunk of my friends are people who enjoy bands like you guys and the same whatever bands who people enjoy as well, you know.
Okay.
Other people enjoy. This made no sense, but I'm keeping it in. I don't care. So for you guys, so in the meantime, you were in other bands, or what were you guys doing until the reunion?
Right after Mineral, Jeremy, the bass player, and I had a band called the Correia record, which put out a couple of EPs and a full length, and we're around till maybe like, I think the full length came out in 2002. Probably by 2004 we weren't doing it anymore, and since then, or since 2005 or so, I've been doing a thing called Zookeeper, which is much more just kind of solo, or I mean, I had a band for a while, but it's just kind of a more autonomous like project for me. Material is a lot mellower and kind of like, I write on acoustic guitar or piano for that, and so it's just like short, simple, more folky songs, you know. So that's what I've been doing. I'm actually, it's kind of cool when the Mineral thing came up, because I had been for like 2 years working on a Zookeeper record, and I was just kind of like, when you work on a record like that, that's just kind of like your whole world sort of wrapped up in that. And then I finished the record, and that's always a great feeling, but it's also like my least favorite part of the process, because because then you're like, oh great, now I have a record. Like, then you have to wonder like what to do with it. Like, how do I get it out into the world? You know, like, should I try and find a label for it? Should I, you know, like that whole, the business end starts, like the creative part is done. So I was in that phase with that record. I had just finished it,
and some people are much more prone to the commercial aspect than others, right?
I guess.
Some people are just so totally disconnected from it, but some others actually have a commercial worry and some strategy involved.
Sure, yeah.
Don't you find that with artists and stuff like that? It's weird how it's different.
Some people are very good at that part of the process. Not so much me. But so, anyways, I was really happy when the mineral thing came up because I was like, oh, good. I just won't worry about that. I'll just do this now. You know, it was a nice distraction. And then the record ended up coming out like October last year, like around the time we were doing the mineral tour. So it worked out nicely, you know. I just didn't have to worry about it. So.
Oh, so you didn't have like to tour the record or anything?
Yeah. I don't know. It's like I'm not close to touring with Zookeeper at all. Like I'd love to, but and I've done a few tours. But for me, it's more of a, like, the most important part for me with that is writing and recording. Like, so Mineral has been so much fun to sort of get to reconnect with playing live again and with these guys and these songs. And it's just a weird experience, you know, like playing material that you wrote so long ago, but it feels wonderful. It feels like a kind of a full circle effect, you know, like we've come full circle in our lives or something, or I don't know, like we're all in our early 40s now, and like looking back, it's sort of natural at that age to start looking back half a lifetime ago, like, you know, looking back at your younger years anyways. So to be able to sort of do this tour while that was going on is a really cool opportunity, you know. Kind of like reconnecting with your younger self, you know, like sort of.
From that perspective, do you feel like it's stepping into the future still, but with like a more solid background of yourself, I guess? Does it feel like that?
For sure, it does. Like it's a little hard to quantify, but it's
like not necessarily nostalgic, I mean.
Right. I've always said it's not so much nostalgia as it is really feeling like you're back there, you know, like, but also you now, it's like you carry these, so much changes in 20 years, you know, in your life, and like you're just, everything about you is different, and yet you still carry around this younger version of yourself with you, and it's nice to be able to like sort of integrate that again and like really connect with it and sort of see that like every part of the journey has sort of brought you where you are, you know.
It's got to feel weird that, you know, so many people like scattered around the world, you know, because you kind of find this clique, I don't know, a clique, because you kind of find this worldwide clique of people who enjoy that record, you know, from all parts of the world, and all of a sudden there's a lot of demand for what you guys did 15 years ago or 20 years ago. I mean, almost like 18 years ago, right? Okay, so and you guys play that, you know, it must feel kind of odd, you know, like, no, you do something. We really want you to do something you did like almost 20 years ago. Okay.
It's cool. I mean, it's like just the fact that people have connected with those records, you know, like, and sort of kept them alive in a way, you know, by like people continuing to discover them, or I mean, it's obviously why we're able to like to come around the world and play for people. It's wonderful.
And do you feel like the material takes on a new narrative? Like, does it have some new meanings and stuff? Because it's pretty intense emotionally. Things don't hardly stay the same. Like, time is like a spiral, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not a circle, but it evolves. Little dog just passed. He's very fancy, very dapper dog.
Very fancy.
fancy little dog. But how is that for you? Like because things kind of being different, I guess, in a way. Because some stuff is the same. I don't know what my question is, but
I think I do feel like the material takes on a new narrative, or it has like a new life that like it's hard to remember what it felt like to play it back then, because it feels so fresh now,
almost like it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So interesting, like, and it's really great. Like, I'm so glad that it's been so easy in a lot of ways to reconnect with the material, like emotionally, and yet, yeah, it does. It has a fresh, like, current resonance for me that is surprising, mm-hmm. for it being material that we wrote so long ago. Yeah. What's great is that I feel like when we played in the past, we were quite young and playing like much smaller shows than what we're doing now, and it really kind of felt very insular back then. Like, we often played with our backs to the crowd, and like it was just kind of like mm-hmm. we were in our own little bubble, Mm-hmm. It was almost like not really us against the people watching us, but like it was not like a communal, like I don't know.
It was not about connecting necessarily.
It wasn't about connecting. Yeah. It was about expressing, I think, ourselves. Yeah. And now it feels nice to be able to. It still feels very much like we're expressing ourselves, but now it's like much more about connecting with the people who have connected with this music we made back then. Yeah. It's a wonderful feeling.
And the way I guess like crowds are, well, not to categorize anything, but there's a very cerebral component to Minerals music, and so people aren't always going to be jumping around like crazy, right? Mm-hmm. So right. It's more like how do you connect, like how do you feel you connect with the crowds? I mean, it has to be some sort of vibe thing, right?
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's hard to describe, but like big crowds of people, like, create a lot of energy, and like you said, sometimes it's subtle energy, but I just love being able to like when shows feel really good, like last night, I don't feel like I'm thinking at all, like as the show goes on, but I do find myself like occasionally just like seeing one face, like there's this big crowd, but then you just like for a moment, like you see an expression of happiness on like one person's face, or the way one person is like responding to the music, and it's so like gives you so much energy, like because sometimes looking at the crowd is like sort of, it just looks like this amorphous like cloud out there, like you're not really seeing like individuals, but I love it when you occasionally, like, I see like an individual face or something, like, and kind of see their expression, like singing or whatever reaction they're having. Like, that's a wonderful.
So cool. Do you feel like you guys are actually? Because I met a friend of mine yesterday. So last night, a couple of friends from Milan were watching your show, and they watched you in Milan and said they were already good when we watched them in Milan. They're even better now. So do you feel that you guys are actually getting better, possibly than ever?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't think we were a particularly great live band, like, in our original days. Okay. I really don't. Like, we broke strings all the time, and, like, tuned for like 8 minutes between every song without mutable tuning pedals. So it was just like, it was brutal, you know.
Oh, that must have been special for someone in the audience, even also rough, you know.
Yeah.
These guys are doing something very
Never talked to the crowd at all. Yeah, it was brutal. I'm sure, but it's so nice now to feel like we can. Yeah, like I feel like we can almost play the songs better now, you know. And we certainly this tour has given us the opportunity to really learn how to play live again, and I do feel like it's getting better, like as it goes along, you know. Yeah, it's fun. It's like I don't really want it to end, you know.
Sure. It probably doesn't have to,
right.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't, yeah.
You know, touring musicians, as long as you're willing to, I don't know, because touring must have its, its ups and downs, and as long as you're willing to tour and willing to accommodate yourself to the necessities of touring, I guess you don't have to stop ever, really.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like something that has a window or like a lifespan, in a way, like reunion tours, you know. Like it always feels like you can't just keep touring forever, but we can certainly do some things, you know.
Sure.
I don't know that we'll do more like full long tours, you know, but yeah, it'd be fun to play occasionally, you know, like sort of keep playing here and there.
Your crowd is still going to be there, I guess, because they have been so far. So people get older, but they still want to watch you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it does feel like there's an interest in the material that, yeah, like you said, has sort of grown over the last 20 years since we actually made the material, and it's lasted this long. It's probably not going to disappear overnight, you know.
So kind of like the power overpowers the failing, more or less, in terms of the meanings of the words, or the strength of the words. Like because symbolically, it seems like one overpowered the other, but it ended up well for you guys instead of the failing.
For sure.
Not that you failed ever, but you know what I mean.
Totally, yeah.
By the way, in since we're speaking about names of things, last night did you know like that Tyler the Creator performed last night as well, and he also has a song called Parking Lot.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
From his previous album, so his last album. So two totally different artists playing one song, different songs called Parking Lot
at the same time on the same stage.
Yeah, on this back to back on the same stage, exactly, because he performed after you guys.
Yeah,
so that's kind of weird. That's must be unusual.
It's great. I love the formatting of like Primavera, in that like a lot of festivals tend to put like the smaller or lesser known bands at the beginning of the day and work their way up to like headliners at the end, and also tend to put like much more similar bands together on stages, you know. Like I love the diversity of each stage lineup, and the fact that you can have Mineral followed by Tyler the Creator on the same Pitchfork stage at Barcelona is great, you know. Like it's really cool. I like that.
You know what's weird is that in more traditional terms, it seems like makes very little sense, the lineup decisions, but then the crowds are kind of the same, and so each stage is kind of like, I find myself shifting not from many stages, it's funny because like Pitchfork or traditionally the Vice stage, which I don't think it's happening this year, but the Adidas Original stage and the Pitchfork stage and the ATP stage, you kind of like just move, because there's something on the main stages you want to watch, but mostly I have more fun in the other, the Pitchfork stage is usually really good. So, and Tyler performed after you guys, and Viet Cong Song, who were actually in this hotel as well, played before you guys. An excellent show. But it seems like to have some coherence on some level.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
It does. It's so interesting.
You can't really put your finger on it. You know?
Yeah, it doesn't seem on paper like it would have coherence, but it ends up feeling right, you know.
And then you have all sorts of weird stuff like X-Hex, Mary Timony's band. They're playing tomorrow at 3 p.m. At this park, you know, at 3 p.m. you know,
awesome. And like Interval played at like 5 p.m. a club show yesterday. Like that's. It's so weird. It's awesome.
Exactly. And what else? Oh, Sleaford Mods are playing, I think tomorrow as well, an acoustic show at 6 p.m. at the festival site. Yeah. This is very odd booking. You know, it's very odd lineup decision making. Yeah. I don't know, but it's going to be packed, I'm sure.
It's cool. It's I like the sort of. It just feels like it keeps everything fresh, like the way it's set up, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And the amount of things you get to watch is amazing. But I actually wanted to ask you something, a tech question. Yeah. But it's not really a tech question, but it's like you guys seem to have a real dominance over feedback. And for instance, whenever there's some silence and you can fill it with feedback, guitar feedback, how do you get that?
That would definitely be a question for Scott, the other guitar player. Like he.
But you do it as well? Because I noticed.
Yeah, a little bit. Scott though is like it's an art form for him. Like he's from the original days been very interested in feedback and how to control it in a way, you know, to like use it to fill spaces without letting it like, you know, feedback is an interesting thing. It's like it can really go too far, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
That's sort of the process, like what is happening, you know. Like, but he does a great job of like controlling it and using it like dynamically, you know. And he's always been very interested in that. I use a lot less of it than him, but you know, I'm like usually sort of tied to the microphone and not able to be like, it really requires being like close to your amp and facing your amp, you know. But he's great at it, and I love that aspect of our sound, you know.
So it's still basically relying on closeness to the amp and gain, I guess. A lot of gain. And is there any pedal that helps? He
doesn't use pedals
at all.
No, he just has a tuner. It's funny, he's never used pedals. Like
What's the distortion though? What's the amp he's using? I didn't notice last night.
Last night he had like a Marshall JCM 900.
Okay.
He usually uses like 800s or 900s. Like at home he's the guy who's like constantly has different gear. Like he's always like trying different things out gear-wise. But he usually has some sort of like high gain amp of some sort because you know he does need that for the feedback. I at home usually use like a Fender Bassman 135 head. So it's like it's a very clean sound, but it has a lot of low end, you know. Like it's not very bright. And when we do these tours, I usually end up with like a twin reverb or something, which is definitely brighter than what I'm used to using at home, but it works fine, you know.
It seems as if you know the amp, someone who's listening will know. Absolutely, Fenders have that, especially twin reverb, have that clarity. Yeah. You know, I have a Fender myself, but I've practiced with Marshalls, and all of them have pros and cons, right? Like,
and what's interesting about Marshalls especially is I feel like every Marshall amp is different. Like you really have to like actually spend time with the amp you're using and get to know it.
So we were just saying bye to Jeremy.
Yeah.
Jeremy, he was just walking by.
Jeremy and Rainey's it's their 15th wedding anniversary this year. Like they got married at the end of May, so they made a trip out of it and came early and having a little anniversary vacation in Barcelona.
Everything coming together then.
Yeah,
cool,
for sure.
Cool. So where are you guys going from here afterwards?
Home. Yeah.
But that's a band, I mean, metaphorically.
Oh, that's a band, metaphorically.
But sure.
I don't think we know.
That is relevant as well.
Yeah, I don't think we know. I think it's sort of an open book at this point. Like this is the last scheduled date of like all these reunion shows we've been doing. So in a way, it feels like it's a chapter is ending with this, but who knows what's next.
Have you guys ever felt, I guess this is relevant, but possibly not the first person to ask you, but do you guys ever felt like you're part of some sort of movement? I mean, because usually, I'm asking this, I'm not too concerned as, as a professional in the area, I guess, whatever I do, but with the, movement of band movements or bands getting together in terms of genre or whatever, but it seems like there's some bands with some that seem to have the same fans, I guess. Do you feel like you've ever been a part of a group of bands, or is it just much more like an individual thing?
It has always felt fairly individual for us, and I think especially now it does, but I know when in our original days we definitely felt like part of a movement of sorts, in that like all the bands that a lot of like-minded bands that we were touring with and doing shows with, and there was a real sort of scene in the States, like almost like network of bands, like in like Kirsty Front Drive and Jimmy Eat World and Boys Life and Promise Ring and Get Up Kids, like all these bands, like we used to just tour together, and like we kind of all were coming up at the same time, and most of the bands didn't stay together, obviously, as you know, but it definitely felt like not so much a movement in the sense of a genre, because to me all those bands have very like different styles or sounds, like when you really get to know the material,
and Texas is the Reason and Braid,
yeah,
and,
exactly.
And the Kinsella guys, all the Kinsella bands, and Owen and stuff like that. American football who were playing.
Yeah, for sure. Like it was a scene in the sense that a lot of the same people were like buying these records and going to see these bands, but I always felt like the bands all sort of, for the most part, sounded like kind of had their own sort of style or sound, yeah, I don't know, like we never really felt like, in some ways we always felt like a little bit of outsiders, but I don't know.
You've been hanging around, so not so much, right?
Yeah. So
you're kind of getting some confidence on that issue over the years, I guess.
Yeah.
Some sort of confirmation, I guess. No, I guess we're cool. I guess we're okay.
But it's like this.
When do I feel like I belong?
Right. Yeah. Like I definitely, I don't know. We feel like we belong together, and like we belong playing our material, so it's more like but it also, this tour like has been such a confirmation of like other people's like passion for the material, and sort of hunger for the material after all this time,
Gotta be, and it's gotta feel good to be wanted, to feel wanted, right?
For sure, yeah, or to feel like, I don't know, like these shows we did in the States, where we'd play like these clubs, and we sold out like a lot of our club dates in the States, and that's like a room full of people who like already know your material, like are ready to sing along and like want to see it. Like that is an amazing feeling, like that's definitely not what we had in our original days playing, It always felt much more like we're playing our material for a lot of people for the first time at our shows back then, So.
And all of a sudden you have all your shit on YouTube.
Yeah.
Now there's proof of everything.
Yeah, which is awesome. Like, I don't know.
People devote themselves to a lifetime of effort for the art, and there must have been something that you heard or watched or that triggered that, like, I really want to do this forever, or this is something I want to do.
Yeah.
Who was that for you? Like, what was the trigger? Who was the trigger, or what?
What's hilarious is that my mom was really, really into music. That's like how I got, I think, to be so passionate about music. And she was always listening to music, like everywhere, at the house, like in the car, when we would drive anywhere. And what's funny is, I guess it was just the time I was coming up, but it was really like Michael Jackson was probably the first thing I heard that, like, I don't know, like Thriller came out, and that was probably the first record I bought, like, myself with my own money. And I was so enamored with him, and I just knew, like, immediately, like, that's what I want to do. And then
Those records are so good from that time.
so good, yeah.
Still hold up.
They do, right? Yeah, for sure.
You know, Paul Westerberg and Replacements last night played a cover, a Jackson 5 cover.
Did they?
Yeah,
That's
I don't
amazing.
remember the song, but it was a Jackson 5 song.
Yeah.
It was Want You Back.
So good.
So
yeah,
good. Okay,
yeah. So good. Yeah, so I really got into that stuff. The first show I went to see, my parents got me and my brother tickets, or all of us tickets, to see the Jacksons' Victory Tour. Remember, it was like Michael had just started getting kind of huge, but he did like one last tour with the family and like one last record, the Jacksons' Victory. And I didn't even know that record that well. I was more like going for Michael, but it was a great show. It was a great tour. So that was fun. Really, I also feel like the thing that came into my head, in addition to that, like a moment or something that sort of sparked that for me was, you remember the book or the movie The Outsiders?
Hardly.
Okay. Anyways,
Who was that?
in the movie was like C. Thomas Howell, Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe. Like, it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they played
sure.
like gang members in like Oklahoma or something.
Yes.
And they, like, their parents had died, and they were these three brothers living together. But anyways, God, there's a scene in that movie where they're like just going out one night, and you hear Gloria by Van Morrison or them, like, and there's just such a like guttural, like, just like, I don't know, like something about that song and the way it was in this scene in the movie. I was just like knew, like, oh man, I want to make rock music, you know, like.
I just remembered I have that movie to rewatch on DVD.
Yeah.
I just remembered because the thing was, like, I was just having this conversation with someone, a friend of mine, a couple of nights ago. She was referring to the Goonies movie, and I don't remember because, like, stuff I watched, like, in the late 80s. I watched all of those things, but I don't remember. You know? Of course.
Cool.
That was a powerful moment for you. Cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so cool. We're basically done, man. Thanks for your time. This is lovely. Okay, wow, half an hour. Cool.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
This was a pleasure. Wow.
It's great to meet you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So that was my chat with Chris from Mineral. I'm really happy for those guys, really. It's really, endearing to see a band that's so emotionally grounded get so far in their careers all these years later. And this week we have a second part of the episode, and much like last week, this is devoted to the next major summer festival in Lisbon, which is going to be Bock Super Rock. It's been going on for over 20 years, and it will be happening in a few days again. So I met up with Joana Godinho yesterday afternoon. She is the festival programmer, and we got to talk about what's coming up, including the changes in the festival site, which is now really in Lisbon, as opposed to the additions of recent years, which happened about an hour away. And we talked about the lineup and personal taste and stuff like that. So once again, to all you English-speaking listeners, or rather non-Portuguese-speaking listeners, I will be signing off, and I should remind you that in the upcoming weeks there will be lots of interviews done at Primavera Sound, both in Barcelona and Porto. So keep an eye out for Made of Things on Twitter, Facebook, WordPress, you can download all the episodes there, and Instagram, which is just Made of Things, not Made of Things Pod. So bye-bye, international babies. And iTunes as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast there as well. Olá, Joana. como estás? Tudo bem?
Muito bem.
O Super Bock regressou a esta margem de Lisboa. Sabes que para mim parecia-me... Eu imaginava que fossem voltar ao Parque Tejo, mas pelos vistos não é? Agora de repente estou ali naquela zona do Parque das Nações. Isto requer algumas mudanças, não requer?
Requer algumas mudanças, obviamente, e é um bocadinho, requer voltarmos sempre à origem do Super Bock Super Rock. Ou seja, o Super Bock Super Rock é um festival conhecido por ser um festival camaleónico, é um festival que se reinventa, é um festival que se redescobre, é um festival que tem este desafio de X em X tempo ter um formato diferente e começar algo de novo que tem 20 anos. Obviamente que quando pensámos como é que celebraríamos estes 20 anos de festival, queríamos fazer algo diferente e queríamos também um bocadinho o regresso às origens. O Parque Tejo podia ser uma das hipóteses, mas já lá tínhamos estado. E queríamos fazer uma coisa diferente, muito urbana, também um bocadinho em função daquilo que hoje em dia são as exigências do público, fazer uma coisa diferente, ter uma primazia dos acessos, do conforto das pessoas e por isso mesmo aquele espaço do Parque das Nações. E também temos muitos de nós têm esta memória do que é que foi a Expo 98, daquilo que foi vivido naquele espaço e daquela magia da ligação à música e de uma experiência muito especial que todos nós tivemos que estivemos lá e por isso mesmo fazia sentido pegar um bocadinho nessa memória e passar para o Super Bock Super Rock.
Portanto, tem um festival também, é um dos festivais mais antigos que temos no país, portanto isto na verdade é uma mudança, mas é um regresso, portanto é o que estás a dizer, algumas pessoas já não têm memória disso, é isso?
Eu acho que é uma mudança, obviamente, mas sem esquecer o passado sem esquecer o passado do Super Bock Super Rock, da herança do Super Bock Super Rock, do ADN do Super Bock Super Rock e daquilo que é a história de muitas pessoas que passaram pelos vários Super Bock Super Rocks. Há pessoas que hoje em dia têm 40, 50, 60 anos e que foram ao Super Bock Super Rock e que cresceram musicalmente também com o Super Bock Super Rock.
E ênfase no rock, não é? Quer dizer, este festival cada vez menos, parece que os festivais de verão têm cada vez menos rock e o Super Bock Super Rock é um festival que continua a ter rock, não é?
Sim, continua a ter rock, não tem só rock, mas obviamente, mas tem rock, é também isso, no nome, na atitude e nos artistas. Temos grandes nomes de rock, nomes que criaram a história do rock, até o próprio Sting nos Police, que fez muita herança depois de várias bandas de rock, e depois rock puro, com bandas como os Blur, ou mesmo depois outras bandas como Savages, ou como a atitude rock, como The Vaccines, portanto a atitude do novo rock que se vê por aí. O próprio Noel Gallagher, que vai buscar muitas das coisas da Oasis, ele que toca coisas da Oasis com muito orgulho, porque fazem parte também da carreira e
são dele, não é?
São dele, exatamente, e da história dele, portanto nem fazia sentido estar a não o fazer, mas obviamente que é um grande nome da música rock.
Absolutamente. Mas eu digo isto no sentido em que também, até quase por oposição, vocês mantendo uma identidade, estão um bocadinho às vezes contra a tendência, mas é uma coisa extremamente positiva, digo eu.
Sim, eu creio que sim, eu acho que nós vamos buscar vários estilos e falavas do rock, obviamente, mas também há outros estilos, obviamente a música eletrónica é uma música que está muito presente, também todo o lado de cantautores, por exemplo o Benjamin Clementine, que é um novo nome de um compositor exímio, um performer exímio, portanto não sendo rock, é um artista que faz todo o sentido no Super Bock Super Rock, é um artista novo, é uma estreia, portanto esse género de encontros, esse género de contacto com Portugal e também com a música e com o público português são coisas que fazem parte da história do Super Bock Super Rock.
A nova área, em termos de salas, como é que se vai desenhar? Portanto, vocês têm o meu arena, não é?
Sim, temos 4 espaços, sendo que temos talvez o palco mais bonito do festival será o palco EDP e ainda há pouco eu estava em cima do palco e a pensar quem me dera ser artista nesta altura para poder ter esta vista quando se dá um espetáculo, que é um palco que é virado para o Rio, na pala do pavilhão de Portugal. Temos o palco Antena 3, o palco da música portuguesa e dos artistas portugueses, que estará na parte entre a FIL e o Meu Arena, nesse espaço. É um espaço que aproveita as escadarias do Meu Arena como anfiteatro para as pessoas poderem olhar para o palco. E depois temos 2 palcos que são indoor, que é o palco Meu Arena, o palco Super Bock, por onde passarão os cabeças de cartaz deste festival, e a sala Tejo, o palco Carlsberg, que é onde acaba o festival, portanto noite dentro, sem preocupações de frio. Às vezes que as noites de verão às vezes são um bocadinho frias e pode-se acabar pela noite dentro ao pé do rio, mas sem apanhar uma brisa muito fria.
E em termos de gosto pessoal, o que é que tu gostas mais no cartaz?
Sabes que isso é sempre muito difícil, porque é perguntarem se eu gosto mais de qual dos meus filhos é que eu gosto mais, ou se gosto mais do meu pai ou da minha mãe. Eu acho que eu gosto sempre de picar um bocadinho vários concertos. Acho que há concertos dos quais eu tenho uma expectativa muito grande. Estou com muita curiosidade de ver os Blur, naturalmente, porque são uma banda que está com uma vivacidade ao vivo. Estou muito feliz de estar a fazer o que estão a fazer. Quero muito ver Subtract, que eu também gosto muito e estou com grande vontade de os ver. Quero muito ver Benjamin Clementine, que já falei. Florence and the Machine, eu já a vi este ano, mas vi sentada, estava com o pé partido, portanto quero ver aquele grande concerto em que ela pode ser ela própria e dançar. Quero muito ver o Criolo, que eu não consegui ver quando ele esteve cá em Portugal, e é uma das bandas que tenho uma grande expectativa. Aliás, há ali um trio brasileiro, que é uma coisa que no dia 18 que vai ser fantástico. Por um lado, a Banda do Mar, que é um dos projetos mais interessantes que tem surgido desta ligação Portugal-Brasil, o Criolo e também o Rodrigo Amarante. Portanto, são três nomes que eu quero ver muito. Mas depois há aqueles nomes que são encontrados. A Non-Mortal Orchestra vai ser um grande concerto, seguramente. Palma Violet também. Estes rock mesmo. Savages, Palma Violet, The Vaccines, Sin Can. Há ali vários nomes de rock mesmo que me vão dar um grande gozo. E eu podia continuar por aí, porque eu depois entusiasmo a falar e é realmente muito, muito difícil não pegar em quase todo o cartaz. Eu acho que uma das grandes vantagens deste cartaz é que é um cartaz muito consistente para as pessoas poderem estar durante os 3 dias a picarem vários estilos musicais e saírem dali muito enriquecidos, quer como pessoas, quer como amantes de música.
Certo. E não é justo esperar que o Damon Albarn toque 4 horas e tenha de ser arrancado de palco, pois não?
Nós não o arrancaremos de palco, é a única coisa que ele tem a dizer. Ele terá a liberdade, se quiser cantar 4 horas, não sei se o fará, mas não vamos arrancá-lo de palco.
Está bem. E só uma última coisa, em relação à vida de promotor, uma pessoa pensa frequentemente, o público acha que, ou pode achar, não sei se o público acha, mas o público pode achar que os cartazes são feitos quando uma pessoa está sentada num escritório e a planear de uma forma meia fictícia, meia sonhadora, quem é que traz, mas não é bem assim, não é? Quer dizer, vocês estão o ano todo em prospeção, não é? E a ir a concertos e festivais.
Estamos o ano todo em prospeção e há uma parte que tu disseste que é verdade, estamos muito tempo sentados no escritório a planear, mais do que às vezes as pessoas imaginam que nós temos uma vida que é sempre a ouvir música por aí fora, mas não, temos um grande trabalho de escritório. Mas se
calhar é o oposto daquilo que eu disse, não sei.
Não é, mas a questão é assim, o planeamento passa por um lado sonhador nosso, que é ok, adorávamos ter isto, depois vamos procurar aquilo que nós sabemos que está e não está disponível, porque nem sempre é aquilo que nós queremos, nós desejamos. Também recebemos muitas propostas de fora, porque os agentes já conhecem um festival como o Superbox Super Rock, com este historial, é obviamente alvo de muitas propostas, quer internacionais, quer nacionais. Depois vamos construindo um puzzle e depois temos que jogar com o fator mais importante na contratação, que é a nossa geografia, e isso é o fator que faz toda a diferença. Isso juntamente com, obviamente, o dinheiro. Obviamente, se fôssemos milionários e oferecêssemos cachês impossíveis, se calhar teríamos todas as bandas que queríamos, mas obviamente isto não poderá ser feito. Mas a geografia do nosso país é uma coisa muito importante. Não é fácil para uma banda que de repente está a fazer uma tour na Escandinávia fazer um espetáculo em Portugal, porque os espetáculos hoje em dia não são simplesmente uma banda que chega aqui e usa o material que quer. Os espetáculos são coisas muito complexas, tecnicamente muito complexos, com muito material que vem por terra, portanto é preciso que estejam prontos e que estejamos perto e que idealmente haja concertos em Espanha ou no limite em França, para que se possa fazer esta parte da turnê por estrada. É um quebra-cabeças que nos dá muito gozo, mas dá muito trabalho, naturalmente.
Mas olha, eu tenho um grande interesse em comédia. Isto é uma última pergunta. Sim. A nível mesmo de curiosidade pessoal, porque eu tenho um grande interesse em comédia já há muitos anos, desde que nasci. Começa a haver uma tendência na Europa de trazer nomes de comédia de stand-up, porque tem uma tradição mais longa de stand-up anglo-saxónico. É uma opção para vocês no futuro, como começa a acontecer noutros festivais?
Neste momento não, embora não queira dizer, tem muito a ver também com aquele feedback que temos do público. Não estamos a pensar criar um momento de stand-up comedy internacional, mas de repente o nosso ADN é muito música e nós queremos continuar a fazer muito música. Agora, não quer dizer, e já houve vários músicos comediantes e comediantes músicos, e de repente que se possa juntar. Eu acho que qualquer introdução de um estilo diferente de programação passará naturalmente por uma ligação à música, o que não quer dizer que não possa acontecer e pode ter a ver com uma série de desejos, de momentos que acontecem, mas não é uma tendência que eu vejo necessariamente a acontecer num futuro próximo.
Podem começar com o Noel Gallagher.
Podemos começar com o Noel Gallagher, exatamente.
Já é qualquer coisa
exatamente.
Foi a minha conversa com a Joana Godinho acerca do Superbock Super Rock que aí vem. Obrigado por terem ouvido, espero que tenham gostado. Subscrevam no iTunes, deixem comentários bons, que os maus não são necessários, obrigado. Podem sempre fazer download de todos os episódios no WordPress, que é Made of Things Pod, e também encontrar-nos no Twitter, também como Made of Things Pod. Falem comigo no Twitter, eu respondo. E se gostarem mais do Instagram, eu também respondo lá, mas é só Made of Things, não se esqueçam. Vamos continuar a trazer entrevistas com gente do Primavera nos próximos tempos, portanto vão ter muitas coisas que ouvir. Obrigado e desta vez, em vez de beijinhos, dou abraços. Portanto, fiquem com o meu abraço, eu dou sempre abraços. Adeus!